evening everyone.
So
Welcome to today's CPE session, PDPL Oman, Legal, Regulatory and Compliance Insight. I am C. Ashish Subedar, CPE Subcommittee Lead, and I am delighted to see every one of you here. Before we begin this event, we would like to thank His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq, our sponsor CBFS, and our corporate supporters and members. I request everyone to stand while we play the ICAI motto song.
सुप्तेषु जाग्रति येष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति कामं 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 कामंशो पुरुषो निर्विमाणः निर्विमाणः तदेव शुक्लं तद्ब्रह्मा तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन
Thank you. Please be seated. May I request our Vice Chairman C.A. Umesh for his welcome speech.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. So welcome to the first CPE session of the current financial year 25-26. We have lined up a couple of good events in the coming months. And to begin the new year, we should celebrate something. So, any guesses for the celebration for today? Any guesses? So, one of our members, Manish, has done a remarkable achievement, and I will not do the explanation. I would request CA Manish to please come on the dais and share his achievement experience with all the members. Manish, please.
Thank you, CEO Umesh ji. It's a surprise for me. I came to know a few minutes back that I have to come to the stage and share my experience about my journey to the Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest mountain in Africa, the highest freestanding mountain in the world, and one of the 7 summits. The peak is at 5,895 meters. It has got different routes to reach to the peak. I think so there are 8 to 9 routes. I chose the one which takes only 5 days, which is the shortest route. But when you take the shortest route, you have more challenges. I don't know how many you are hiking the mountains, but once you go above 3,000 meter elevation, the challenges begins. Challenges in form of lower oxygen, in form of the weather condition, in form of the wind speed, so many other challenges. Food poison, and on top of that, many cases it happens that your body reacts badly to those kind of challenges. The route which I selected had success ratio of 30%, but we CA are familiar with lower success ratio. I think so we are familiar with even 5% success ratio. So I chose the lowest route with the lowest success ratio, and with hard work, with proper planning, and with proper mindset, which we all know that to achieve the lower success ratio, we need a proper mindset. With proper mindset, we were able to do it in 5 days. Like any other story, there are climaxes. For me, climax was that I ended up with food poisoning. So no intake, no water intake, no energy intake, and summit I did without any energy intake, which was a challenge, but the experience which I gained through these challenges were remarkable. This is the story I wanted to share with you. Now the experience we can do when we go to these kind of places, whether it's Everest Base Camp or whether it is Everest or whether it's Kilimanjaro. So join us, our CA Wellbeing program. There hiking is one of the activities. If you are beginner, if you are pro level, or if you are intermediate level, please join us. Together we can experience the higher elevations. Thank you very much.
So thank you, CA Manish. So it's a good way to start the year and the first CPE session. You might be wondering why the chairman is not here. So इसमें मेरी कोई चाल नहीं है. He had some personal work, so I had to take his place. Okay, so we also have a couple of we did hold one of the important events, Women's Day, where Dr. Kiran Bedi was there, and this is the media coverage we had. We are also trying to showcase what activities the chapter is doing, connecting with the community, connecting with the families. We also had privilege to take Dr. Kiran to one of the Indian schools where she addressed the parents and the kids, and that was very well welcomed by the teachers and the kids and the parents as well. So what we request our members is to identify and help us connect to such prominent personalities where you have a personal connect through friend, somebody. So we can bring in these famous personalities, get associated with them, and make them part of our chapter's journey. Okay. Another feather in our chapter's journey, we are holding the CFO, Omani CFO program. So the fifth batch has already started last Saturday in Sur. We had almost 100 plus applications. Out of that, we have shortlisted 68 candidates, and the program is has started from last Saturday, and it will continue till May end. We have got almost more than 100 plus mentors. This time, many who wanted to join as a mentor from our members database, they were put on hold. So hopefully in the next batch, they will be part of the CFO program. So if you are interested, any one of you, every Saturday the bus starts from Hatat complex at around 6:45. So if you want to experience how the training sessions goes, please join us, and then maybe you can be part of the next session as a mentor as well. Yeah, and the beginning of the year, so we'll be having the AGM most likely on 20th May. And as a part of the membership drive, we are giving a similar gift to those members who register and pay the fees. Today is the last date. If you request, then we'll extend the date by 1 or 2 days also. So you have to register on that link, upload the photo which you prefer to be printed, and then this gift will be given to you at the time of AGM. There are a couple of events which we are lined up. One is with ICAI chapter. Jointly we are having one session on AML audit, which is on 6th May, CBFS Muscat Hall. So we'll be circulating the event details shortly in the members group. So please join. It's a joint event along with ICAI chapter. And one of the important events which are coming up in the month of May, 20th May, we are having the sponsored chapters event, wherein all the chapters sponsored by CBFS will be holding one session. This year our chapter is the lead chapter. The title is Sustainable Finance and Green Banking. So we have got prominent speakers. The details will be made available shortly. We're just awaiting the final nod from CBFS team. So that will be announced. So it will be on 20th May. It's a first half session. So please block your diaries. We want more attendance from the host chapter, which is our ICAI Oman chapter. So with this, I will hand it over to Ashish. The session what we have got PDPL is very important in terms of protecting the personal information of all the individuals here. What are the legal implications, what are the precautions one needs to take, especially those who are handling multiple individual databases. So we have got good speakers. He will guide us through the various regulations and implications. So please welcome the speaker, and I hand it over to Ashish for the next proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, CA Unmesh. May I now request CA Ajil to introduce today's speaker.
Good evening, professional colleagues. It is my privilege to introduce today's speaker, Mr. Sreechith Radhakrishnan. Mr. Sreechith is a seasoned IT executive with over 25 years of experience, including more than 22 years in GCC. He is specialized consultant in digital transformation, IT strategy, governance, risk and compliance, cyber security, enterprise risk management, IT service management, and process optimization. Sreechith has led numerous transformation and governance projects across diversified sectors including service, banking, education, and oil and gas. He holds masters in information system and extensively certified in information IT governance, cyber security, risk management, project management, and quality systems from prestigious institutions like ICAI, PMI, Exodus, PECB, and Exim. He is also an accredited trainer for global frameworks like ITIL, COVID, Prince2, Deloitte, and ISO standards. Having trained over 14,000 professionals, currently he serves as GRC consultant and lead trainer at Global Success System Free Zone LLC UAE, where he provides consulting, auditing, and training service. His career spans various leadership roles, including Head of Service Management, IT Project Management, and IT Operation Manager across the GCC. Passionate about elaborating organizational excellence, he is also certified coach and NLP practitioner committed to developing talent and driving digital excellence. Please join me with giving a warm welcome to Mr. Sreechith Radhakrishnan.
Okay, good evening everyone. Thank you for joining, and also thank you for giving us an opportunity to explain this PDPL to you. I think if I understood, most of you are in auditing and chartered accountants doing this financial reporting and most of the work. And why we need to look about this PDPL, Personal Data Protection Law. Okay, so today I'm just going to give you very brief about the law, like how this law came into picture and what are the mandatory things we need to aware about. And also we'll be talking about little bit about the comparison, because this personal data protection is around the globe. I'm sure you heard about GDPR, UAE PDPL, Saudi PDPL, so Indian PDPL, etc. So a little bit comparison on that. Then we look at how can business can comply, because there are deadlines has been already passed. So how do you make sure whether your own internal organization or if you are an advisor to the organization, how do you make sure the organization comply? Just like a simple steps. Then your role as an auditors or accountants, what you need to be looking for, or part of your audit program, what extra we need to think about so that we can help our clients or our own organization. And lastly, couple of examples. Yeah. So in the era of digital, the day-to-day basis, one or other way we listen so many stories about cyber attack, data breaches, it's increasing day by day, whether it is in, the news came into the surface of the details, or sometime it's already hidden, but end of the day, organizations are facing heavy digital, attacks. Now, if you look at some of the statistics, there are a lot of, state-sponsored attacks has been happening into the GCC. And if you really look at with some of the authorities, whether it is cyber security authorities, there are daily basis, there are announcements coming how to protect your data, whether it is a card details, whether it is your account detail, or even personal information on your mobile, etc. If you look at the global financial statistics, the last year was almost 22% high compared to the previous year. And even there was a statistics from IBM on the last year, the cost of data breach. We are coming somewhere around 32.8 million Saudi riyal. We are talking somewhere around 1.2 or $10 million type of thing. Okay. So in a summary, whether you accept it or not, the cyber attacks are increasing. So with this particular context, every country in the Middle East and the globally started adapting some law. So that derive our Oman also initiated a law in 2023, and they actually come up with a executive regulation in 2024 and officially given a 1 year time frame to comply. So as we speak, there is no formal announcement whether they extended or not, but we have already passed the deadline. So now the question is it applicable to me? Answer is yes. Whether it is a private organization, whether it is a public organization, are you handling any personal data? Now we'll come to the little bit explanation later. So in summary, every organization, whether you handle a customer detail, vendor detail, or maybe whatever type of personal data, that means very simple, name, email address, telephone number, date of birth, passport detail, this all are called personal detail. I'll come to the definition later. So in one line statement, we all are obliged to comply to that requirement. Now the question is, how do we identify what is the top area, what is the less area, etc. We will look at that. So the scoping as per the law says that if any organization, whether it is in Oman or outside Oman, if you are handling the data of an Omani individual, okay, all of us stay in, like all of you are staying in Oman, so if your personal data is handled by, like example, I come from UAE, and if I conducted a training here, I collected your contact detail, that means I have to comply to the requirement. Okay, so that's how the scoping works. Now coming to the penalty, starting from 500 to 500,000 Omani Riyal is the fine. We are talking about extreme. Okay, I'll come to that penalty, how this penalty applicable on a few slides later. So in a nutshell, we have to really make sure whether we are advising our organization or we are working with our client to make sure they are working on that particular program or not. So that's a simple summary of this particular law. Yeah. So there is a law book available to download. There is a executive detail available, around 16 pages available. So we can go through that. So this is a summary of the first law. Basically around 32 articles. Each article they explain, okay, what is the requirement, what is the role of each organization unit, what are the penalty, what is the mandatory requirement of appointing a data protection officer, etc. It's mentioned in the 5 chapters in 32 articles. That's the first law, which is published on 2022. Then we come to the executive order. It is elaborated much with another 45 articles, around 9 chapters, which give you much more detailed guideline what to be done. So that's a simple guide we are working on. Okay. Let's go to the exception. So is it something every organization, every type of organization need to do, or if I am a court, I am handling some case, is that applicable? So the law has given some guideline, the exceptions are allowed. For example, anything related to a dispute and there is a court, and if they are handling the data because of that, it is not explicitly obliged to do that. But it's a very difficult to handle. Like example, if you are a business, okay, we collect the data. After that, that particular business lead into a dispute and court case. But we already processed their data for a while. Now we are passing to the court. Court may not be required to protect, but we definitely need to protect the data so far, right? So it's very difficult to bring that thin line between, okay, what is applicable, what is not applicable. But the clause clearly say these all are the area we are talking about, some of the exception. Okay, so just to give you the context on that particular control perspective. Now let's go to the key terms to understand. Okay, we have heard about data protection, data privacy, personally identifiable data, personal data, etc. So it's nothing but what information you can identify a natural person. We are not talking about an organization, we are talking about an individual. So how can you identify an individual? With his or her name, his or her telephone number, his or her bank account number, or then date of birth, identity number, etc. So if your organization is processing any of these particular information, that means that comes under the law. Now the argument is, I have a Facebook, I have a LinkedIn, I use so many information in the Facebook and LinkedIn, and I am only using that. Is it applicable? Go back to the exception. If the information is publicly available, then we have a little bit of cushion over there. But other than that, if you are collecting any information of an individual for a purpose of processing, that comes under the importance. So this is what we need to consider, the first parameter. So when you get into the planning exercise, or when you are advising to the customer, the question is, okay, tell me, are you collecting any information about a customer? Are you collecting information about a contractor? Or are you collecting information about a outsourced vendor who is an individual? We are not talking about a, let's say, a company ID. With a company ID, we cannot identify an individual unless and until it's a one-man show on that company, am I right? So if it is an email address which we are talking about, info@xyz.com, how do you identify whether that generic email address is not for a particular person? But on the other hand, Sreechith@xyz.com, I can identify this email belongs to Sreechith, am I right? So that is the not categorized data we are talking about. So when you want to work on that model, what is personally identifiable data, what is not personally identifiable data, this is the simple logic we can apply. With some information, can I identify an individual? If yes, that comes under the part of personally identifiable data or personal data. Now coming into a category in Oman PDPL that is called sensitive data. Anything related to the health, anything related to the political view, anything related to some biometric, or these all are called sensitive data. The law has an explicit requirement. If you are processing this sensitive data, you need to get a special permission or permit from the ministry. So now this becomes a little bit complicated, because any health institution, schools, or maybe some insurance company, for example, or maybe some, I don't know, like there are many organizations get into this further details, am I right? If I want to take insurance policy, I need to give my health details to them. If I am working with a hospital or clinic, I need to get my vital details, am I right? So those type of details are clearly categorized as a sensitive information. And this is an explicit requirement in the law saying that if you are handling this particular type of information, you need to get a special permission from the ministry. So that becomes a little bit complicated, than what we are talking about. Now coming to the bookie language, okay, there is a term we normally listen here, data subject. That means with that information, who is the identifier? Okay, Sreechith is the name. That means, so I am the data subject, or my telephone number, my passport number, am I right? So data subject means with that identifiable information, who is the person you can identify. That's called the terminology called data subject. Then there is also a concept called data controller. Because you see this or you listen these three definitions every now and then. Data controller means who collected the data for what purpose. If a bank, you want to open an account, okay, they ask your KYC, know your customer type of thing, okay, all the detail, am I right? So bank is the data controller, because bank is collecting the detail of a customer for the purpose of creating an account or issuing a loan, whatever you call it as, right? So we have data subject, we have data controller. Now there is a concept called data processor. If the bank is using a third party to collect the KYC, or if the bank is using another third party to process the loan application, so now bank is the controller, processor is that third party, whatever. So many cases the controller and process may be same, but as soon as we put into another entity walking into the game, we have one controller and processor. So this is the whole triangle. We have a data subject who own that individual information. From the data subject, we collect the required information. Whatever information we are collecting, we become the data controller. And sometimes we may be the data processor or another party. So the whole data protection or data privacy, whatever you are talking, is between these three people's rights and responsibility. That's a simple ecosystem. Me as a data subject, I have my own rights. You as a data controller, you are collecting my data. You have some responsibility to make sure protecting my data. And you are appointing a third party to do some job. And it's your responsibility to make sure that third party also adhere to the requirement. So this is the three role. Then we have our ministry is making sure all these three parties' rights has been managed, and the ministry may come up and ask you for some evidences. How are you collecting the data? How are you processing the data? Show me the evidence, and that's become our job to comply. That's a simple language if I want to put it into the context. Yeah, is that fine? So, what is data protection? As theoretically, it's a set of legal, technical, and organizational measures. As a auditors and accountants, the internal control, all these languages. I don't need to teach you. It's all about documenting policy, process, procedures, control measures. Since it is more related to data, all technical things come into picture. Access control, encryption, this blah blah blah. Make sure that particular personal data from unauthorized access, misuse, and etc. Okay, and that data is processed as per the few what you call data subject rights. That means if you are collecting my data for a particular reason, example, I am applying for a job into a company. I applied for that job. You collected my resume. You are obliged to use only for that purpose. You don't collect my data for a job and you send a marketing email to me. Or you collected my CV for a job position, after that sending that CV to somebody else. Oh, Sreechith is apply for you, I don't have a job, use my CV. No, you are not allowed to share such types. So there are few fundamental data subject rights. We'll cover to that, yeah? So that's the simple message of we are talking about. What will be the benefit of doing this? Definitely you will have more trust with your customers and users. Definitely applying this privacy rights, because me as a data subject, I have my own rights. Protecting that rights will become part of the game. And definitely preventing your data breaches. Today, we say either your organization is already attacked or it's going to attack soon. That's the situation, because there is no, whether you know it or not, maybe some silent killers are already in your network or maybe in your phone. So we cannot say, yeah, it will happen only to Citibank, it will happen only to XYZ people. No, whether it is a small, medium enterprises are the most vulnerable in these days. Because small, medium enterprise like us, we don't have a luxury of putting so much of control, so many people sitting dedicatedly, etc. So it's easy to, like I am a consultant, I am working with so many MNC, okay, if I get into Sreechith's network, it is easy to get into bigger network. So that is the way people are becoming, more intelligent. So we cannot say that I am a small company, what are they going to take it from? Even if my data loss, I am not going to pay fortunes of money. No, they don't use to take data from you, they use you as a channel to get into your client. Like example, somebody working as an advisory service or somebody working as a auditors. Yeah, you work with the clients on different situation, maybe sending an email, maybe accessing their data. So the message is we have to make sure our clients or our data is protected from the threats and of course the legal regulatory requirement. Law at the land become the priority. We cannot escape from that. There is no choice. So one of the question is, okay, is this applicable to a one man started as an entrepreneur, just started a business? Are you handling personal data? It's applicable to you, full stop. Now sometimes it may go too much, am I right? I am started a business, I am starting running behind customers, now you are asking me to comply, but that's a law. You cannot run a business without a trade license. You cannot drive a car without a driving license, am I right? Whether it is expensive or less expensive, you have to do it. Same way the law at land become the priority. So, one of the myth is, yeah, data protection is there because we work with so many clients and most of the time this particular data privacy project is either run by legal department, sometimes it's run by IT department. Now tell me which company the data is processed only in IT and only in legal. From the receptionist till to the CEO, everybody uses information in different format. So it should be run as a culture, it should be run as an overarching organization-wide initiative. Now that's where you being auditors and accountants and advisor need to do. We will come to that, but very simple. Okay, if you are looking at your audit program, okay, where does this PDPL or data protection program work in? Is it working on a silo on a corner of the business, or is it taken as an overarching privacy initiative across the business? Okay, is the management, executives and directors are really paying attention to, yeah, that's an IT problem, let them do it, I don't care. Okay, you don't care, but when there's a data breach come, your reputation will go on stake. When you have a financial reporting, you will have high finality, whether you account it an operational expenditure or liability, I don't care, but end of the day you have to pay it. Maybe you can fire that IT guy, you can fire the legal guy, but end of the day your business is on stake, am I right? So they need to think about that fashion. So it's a business enabler and it's a necessity of your business to run the business. Okay, so we are getting into a little bit into the detail about what a controller need to do. Yeah, so you are a controller and you are collecting some detail from the data subject. The first and foremost, and especially our Oman regulation specifically talk about explicit consent. That means if you are collecting any personal data, you have to get a consent from the data subject saying that, okay, I am buying or I am taking this particular information from you because your data is essential for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You are a customer requesting for a loan. To process the loan, I need your so-and-so detail. And we will be using this detail for 1, 2, 3 processes. And your detail will be processed by so-and-so parties. And this particular data will be stored on so-and-so system. At least that high-level information we need to transparently and clearly communicate it to the customer. It's a mandatory. So we cannot write sorry to say that some of the telephone subscription contract or some loan processing, you need to use a microscope to read what exactly they written, am I right? No, you are not allowed to give this ambiguous and misconcept type of thing. You have to clearly explain the process. This is one of the first requirement. Second, if you are collecting some information and then say, okay, I will also use this particular email to send you promotion, then that has to be an explicit requirement. Okay, your data is collecting for loan processing, but are you allowing me to send you some promotional items? So that should be a separate consent. So customer have a choice. Please use only my data for my loan processing. Please don't send me the promotion. So you see that become the one of. Then you have to come up with your privacy notice, maybe in the website terms and conditions or privacy terms. You have to write in detail. That means how do we process the data, where do we store the data, how do we transfer the data, etc., etc. You need to develop your policy and process and procedure. End of the day, it's all the internal control, right? What is our privacy policy? What is our roles and responsibility, etc. So it's basically documenting the internal control. One important thing, the law says any data breach has to be notified within 72 hours as soon as you identify it. So that's one of the mandatory. So you should have a data breach notification process. Due to whatever reason, our data is breached, whether internal, external misuse or whatever, and as soon as you identify there is a data breach, you should have a process. Who communicate to whom? What is the mechanism? The first mechanism is you need to communicate to the ministry. And if you feel the data is or the data subject has a high risk, maybe example, credit card details are gone, or maybe account details are gone, yeah, or password details are manipulated, then you should also notify the data subject. And what format, who will do, this also need to be done. What is your role on that? So when you are doing auditing, those who are auditors, do the organization or our client has a data breach notification procedure? Your audit scope will become a little bit, increasing the scope. It's not I'm looking only internal control, you're also looking at that part. If they have a data breach, have they done the data breach notification as per the stipulated time? DPO, Data Protection Officer, a new role coming into the organization. Okay, so now the question is, okay, there are specific requirements mentioned by the ministry saying that DPO will be the point of contact with the ministry. So ministry's requirement, some of the requirement like, I'm an organization, I do a lot of personal data and ministry is suspicious about my operation. They will say, please appoint an external auditor and make sure your internal controls are calm. So it's my obligation to appoint an external auditor complete the audit in my organization, submit the report back to ministry within 45 days or 60 days. So this whole coordination is done by DPO. Top of that, any data subject has I'm not happy with this organization handling my data. They can directly contact the DPO. So that means you must publish the DPO's contact details in your privacy notice or consent form. Okay. Now, there is no explicit requirement mentioned in any of the PDPL that DPO must be internal to the organization, or can we outsource that, but you have to decide that. When you outsource, that is a risk, another risk we have to consider. Yeah, so you have to look at all the parameter, how do we handle it. But you must have a DPO. Okay, so either you elevate your existing, sorry, please go ahead.
So DPO has to be an individual?
Yeah, it's a named person. Yeah, it is not we can't say this department will handle. It should be a name. You can say DPO at xyz.com, but that has to be handled by 1 or 2 people, and there are some qualification also, because ultimately speaking, DPO will be the internal consultant to run this show. So he or she should know this whole legal aspect. He should know the compliance program is working fine and etc. So just not say like I was doing a training and one guy walk into the office say, yeah, I am the CISO now. Really? Chief Information Security Officer. Yeah, because somebody appointed me as CISO. I don't know anything about CISO. That should not be because of the law say there should be a DPO. Okay, you are the DPO. But does that individual have the capability? Because end of the day, he or she need to run the show. So you may be a go-to person. Okay, tell me, is it applicable? I don't know. That doesn't help us. So we need to really make sure the right candidate has been selected. That's one. Oh, another big thing, and that's where the highest penalty come to, data transfer guidelines. That means if you are transferring the data, especially from Oman to outside Oman, there is an explicit consent required, and especially the sensitive data transfer must have a permission from the ministry. So if a clinic, for example, operating a global clinic, they have a few clinics in Oman and they also have a head office in some other part of the world, and due to whatever reason they are sending the data from here to outside, they must get an explicit approval from the ministry, especially sensitive data, and this is the highest penalty. We talked about 500,000 Omani Riyal if you violate the law, and that's become a extreme level. Yeah.
For the same company.
Sorry?
For the same company.
For the same company also there are some sort of mechanism we have today, but if it is transferring outside, you must get a consent. Okay, so that means it's going back to the first one. I am collecting my data, so we have to tell to the data set, I am collecting this data for this purpose, and this particular data will be processed in so and so places, and we will also sharing this data to so and so authority. So that has to be transparent. We cannot just say, we will use your data for and then summarize it. You have to really clearly give that one. And if any point in time, the data subject has the full right to ask for that. Okay, tell me, how are you processing my data? So for example, now one of the common challenge today is many of the SMEs are using cloud solutions, whether it is a Soho Books or maybe a Tally or Xero or SaaS or blah, blah, blah. Am I right? Now where is this servers are hosted? Is it in Oman? No. Some are in US, some are in India, some are in Singapore, am I right? So as we simply speak, any SaaS or any cloud solution, the cloud provider is called a processor because they are the one who managing your infrastructure and everything. So we need to have something called data processing agreement with those people. Now, when you are working with big clients like Oracle or SAP or something, they will say standard format and you take it or leave it. That's what their behavior is. But it is our responsibility to make sure the data processing agreement fulfill the Oman requirement because we are in Oman. So we have to verify whether this particular requirement fulfill. Otherwise, end of the day, somebody come and challenge us. Oh, sorry, I don't know. It's not an answer. Okay. So appointment of external auditor, I mentioned that. If the ministry requested a data controller or processor, it's our obligation to appoint an external auditor and submit the audit report back to ministry. So few things we are talking about. We need to have a DPO, we need to have documented policy procedure, we need to have a consent form. Okay, so that are the few things we need to, we'll come to the summary later as a compliance with control, that's a part of the normal stand. So what is the data processors? So when we talk about data processor doesn't make decision. If a KYC is collected on behalf of a bank, Whatever the bank requested to do, they will just do it. So they are not deciding the purpose of that. The purpose is collecting the KYC, use that as per the banking regulation. Or maybe as an auditing company, you are auditing on behalf of the client, okay? The client requested for certain audit, you perform the audit, right? So basically process as per your agreement. That is what we call data processing agreement. So many of us fall into that category. We are processing data on behalf of the client. I am an outsourced accountant, like accounting firm, doing a taxation or doing a financial reporting on behalf of a client. We are a processor on behalf of the client. Of course, you also need to have internal control. So now, again, this our Oman law says that if required, the ministry may directly contact the processor to verify their internal control. It's a two-sided. So controller become obliged to make sure that my processor is meeting the requirement. Like we have this whole concept of due diligence with the third party risk assessment, etc. That's the same thing we are talking about, but a little bit extended to the privacy parameter. Yeah. External auditor and compliance with the control. So you can see that controller has a lot of obligation, processor has minimum. Now if the processor and control is same, of course it will. But if you are a service provider serving multiple controller, you need to understand what is the maximum you need to fulfill with. I am a outsourced consulting company or outsourced DPO company. I work with DPOs with multiple banks or multiple things. So I have to ensure the requirement from multiple banks and multiple entities are fulfilled by my internal control. Being an auditor, being an assurance provider, it's your responsibility to make sure your client and your internal firms are meeting the expectation. Yes, please go ahead.
Many of our members are working in audit firms,
Okay.
Like statutory audit.
Yeah.
So after this law, they will have to sign, apart from their audit engagement letter, something else, because they will have access to all this PI data as a part of stat audit.
Absolutely. It's the responsibility of the organization, because as a part of auditors, you will have access to contract, you will have access to some of the, some customer detail or payroll detail. Based on your auditing sampling, you will pick some many things. So it's the responsibility of the organization to rule, but as a courtesy, you can also tell them, guys, there is a law, it's make sure you have some agreement has been signed, data processing agreement. Am I right with it? I think that's the best one. So comparison, I think I didn't put all the table, but in a very generic term, European Union GDPR is more like a umbrella. Almost every laws are some sort of generated or use that similar pattern. Coming to the GCC, if you look at UAE PDPL, KSA PDPL, Bahrain PDPL, even Oman PDPL, all have some sort of similarity. A few have some exception, but now Kuwait is, I think, still working in progress type of thing. Commonly, all have this type of some sort of consent requirement, but our Oman is have more on towards the consent, or explicit consent is more in our Oman. Breach notification requirements are there. As I mentioned, GDPR. DPO requirement, UAE, KSA, it is optional. It's not a mandatory. They haven't mentioned. They give you, okay, if you are handling high volume of data. Even in GDPR talk, if you have a 250 plus employees, you need to have a DPO. But in Oman, you need to have a DPO. That's the statement in the law. But if you really look at some exploration, it's not clear, because whether I have 1 or 10 employees, do I have a luxury to put a DPO? It's a very big question to ask. There's a little bit of maturity has to come. Fine also, a little bit almost similar. We have high penalty. I think our Oman PDPL has also criminal case. Not only the ministry, which also can go to a criminal like case also with a jail type of thing. That means they are putting a little bit stringent, not only the penalty aspect. Cross-border transfer, I mentioned, you need to have a special approval. It's a mandatory, especially if you are transferring sensitive data, you must get an approval. And as I mentioned in the beginning, if you are a sensitive data processor itself, you need to have an operating permit has to be get it, and that permit is valid only for 5 years. That means it's go for a renewal type of thing. And then definitely prior approval, this go. So we have to really think about what type of data we are processing. Is it falls under sensitive data? Yeah, please go ahead.
Two questions. So cross-border transfer is ministry approval is required only for the sensitive data or the personal data?
Yeah, they are saying personal data transfer, but then explicit consent may be suitable enough, but in the sensitive data it is mandatory. That's what the current situation. Then they say if the data is not harmful to Oman, like some sort of national threat type of thing, you should be careful. So that is the current statement. So my recommendation is just get a consent from the people, explicit consent from the people, because many organizations have a processing from other part of the world do that. But if you are in touching anything on the sensitive, it's better to go with or it must to go with the approval. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
If suppose the data is being transferred to the head office, so that also.
If it is transferred to the head office also, their statement is if it is going beyond Oman, you need to get a permission. Okay, so now thing is, Mudhu, what we call it as if the same company does from two different things.
There is binding commitment rule.
Yeah, there is something called binding commitment rule. That means I am a company operating in UAE, I am also operating in Oman, but then there is a commitment between both entities, even though it's all under the same. That is a one option in GDPR, but in PDPL it's not very clear exactly. So it's better to get a permission on that one. Another thing they are saying is data localization. That means keep the data, everything on the Oman itself, which is little tough for some of the MNCs, but this is the current, we have to see how it is going to impact once it is really into action, because we just started, like February is the deadline, am I right? Yes, sir.
For the data on cloud, it will be.
Cloud is by default. Cloud is, if anything you put it on the cloud is the processor, you are the owner. So your first question is, where is the data center? Where my data reside? And some of the, even the government and all, they don't allow you to put anything on public cloud. Unless and until your cloud provider is inside the UAE, inside the Oman, they won't allow you.
Do we have any cloud providers?
I'm not really clear on that. Maybe some people localized, people might have started some private cloud, but I don't think that's a very thing. Yeah, yes, sir.
For DPO, can it overlap with other roles? Because sometimes they say exclusive responsibility will be there.
Not really, because I don't think we will have a opportunity to have a full-time job employee. Okay, so normally the CISO can act as a DPO, but see, that's okay. No, because I don't think he or she have a full-time job to do morning till evening. But unless and until a lot of awareness programs are going, see, DPO has a lot of role to play. Like looking at the employee awareness training, making sure this particular risk assessment has been completed, third-party contract. So if you really on a 1,000+ employees and you have a lot of transactions are happening, a lot of dynamism, then maybe a dedicated person is fine. Otherwise, if it is a group company, you can have a group DPO who is share resources. Those all can be done. In GDPR, what happens, and even you can outsource DPO to third parties. Like we would do some work with some of the clients, acting as a CISO as an outsourced, DPO as an outsourced, that you can do it. Okay, so this is coming to the Oman PDPL penalty, because each of the violation there are certain penalties, but we grouped into example your obligation of controller. If you haven't really fulfilled that controller requirement, example consent form, privacies are not notified, you don't have a breach notification process, etc. That can lead to 5,000 to 10,000. Data subject notification is not done, that can be. So you can see these are the article number, and based on the sum of the thing, like special PI, you can see that child data. I think I forgot to mention you that if an 18 years or less, if you are handling that particular child's detail, there must be a consent from his or her guardian. That's very important. Okay, but in GDPR it's a 16 years old, but in Oman it is 18 years old. So there are some specific on child's perspective. International data transfer, as you can see, that's the highest penalty we are talking about. Yeah. So this is each article they mention. If you violate this is the penalty. But in very high level, 500 to 500,000 can be the range we are talking about. Yeah. Yes, please. Yep, absolutely.
So they are instead to have specific
Yeah. I am taking a personal life insurance. I have given my passport, national ID. I also give my vital details, maybe whatever. So that means all my history and my health details are with them. It's their obligation to make sure they protect my data, and they are not allowed to share that. Yeah. Now the problem with most of the insurance company, they use insurance brokers. Maybe ICAI is the insurance company, or Oman Insurance is the company. Most probably XYZ company will be working as a data collector. Am I right? So now the question is, did I approach Oman Insurance or did I approach the company come to me as a broker? For me, broker is the controller because I worked with the so this is a very difficult job because most of the brokers are small companies. They don't have this facility, and they come back and say, "Yeah, we have some internal privacy." No, that doesn't work. It has to be clearly explained to me where does the data go, and especially people using Gmail, WhatsApp, everything is available in everywhere. Am I right? So you have to be very careful on that type of communication. Yeah.
In case of a school, they will be processing parents' data also.
Yes.
In addition to child data.
Yes.
So
They have to do, like if you do school nowadays, I think most of the, like my kids goes to GEMS, they already started asking about consent for taking pictures, maybe if they want to have some specific trip or they need to have a consent, maybe even the sports day they are asking, do they have some specific requirement. So students' details, unless they become 18, explicit consent from the guardian is mandatory. But as you mentioned, they have to protect all the data.
they will also accept parents' data.
Yes, absolutely. So they will become obliged to protect both data, child data as well as the parent data. Okay. So this is just like a normal project plan type of thing. I thought I'll just give a simple one-page roadmap. Like if an organization would like to comply to this particular requirement, the first and foremost is it applicable to us? Am I right? Because first question is, am I processing personal data? But believe me, I don't think today no organization is without personal data, whether it is a customer data, whether it is a vendor data, whether it is for something else. But in summary, that's the first. So as soon as you have an applicability, it's better to prepare the team either by appointing a DPO, conducting some awareness to the people. When I say conducting awareness, some of the myth, as I mentioned, even the board of directors or senior executives feel that this is not a requirement, because they may not have the time to read all these 23 pages. So better to conduct an awareness program even to the senior executives, why this is important, how this compliance program has to work, what is your participation or what is your impact if you don't do it, something like. So awareness, build that to the whole organization. Why PDPL, what is the, etc., etc. Once you've done that, my recommendation is do a quick gap assessment. There is no organization without any internal control, either for financial reporting or some internal. There is something, am I right? People say we don't have anything. That's wrong. If you don't have anything, you don't operate as an organization. So you may not have everything as the formal, but you have something working, or maybe I have some antivirus, I have some sort of NDA with employees, maybe a vendor onboarding process, we have some contract requirement from the vendor, at least something will be the NDA, contract, etc. Am I right? So you understand what we have today, formally, informally type of thing. Okay? Because that is what we need to fix the gap. So doing that will be a very, very worth effort instead of reinventing the wheel and etc. So when you do these two, there will be a little bit of shaking in the organization. Oh, I think we don't have this, we don't have that. So people started understanding. Then you come to the actual control definitions, like as per your language, design of the controls. Yeah, policy, process, template, privacy statements in our website, consent form template. If you are purely based on a manual, you may need to have some forms, what to consent, or if you already have a website, what to include in the website, such type of things. So you basically prepare all the document, keep it simple as much as possible, because you don't want to have one size fit for all. You will get a lot of template from Google or other website, but keep it what we can manage within the thing. Then the key thing is risk assessment. So there is a statement called ROPA, recording of processing activity. This item number 5 is a little bit of overwhelming activity, because an organization to go to each department or each function and say, what are the processes we do? I have a sales process, I have an account payable process, I have an account receivable process, I have a payroll process, I have a loan processing, you look at the process. The whole game is about where do we collect the data, how do we collect the data, who handle the data, where it goes, when it goes to that place, who handle further. So we need to know this whole touch point. This is one of the challenging, because this may be the very first time people really thinking about this. Yeah, we are running the business, making revenue, end of the year we wait for P&L and everything. But now, tell me what are the process we are telling or following. Why we are doing this? This is where we identify which process touches the personally identifiable data. I have recruitment. So recruitment is done with some other third party. Oh my God, all data. Like I am applying for XYZ company, but it is handled by another people. If the data leak happen from the third party, I am accountable end of the day. So we need to get into that type of thing. So once you've done that, you are doing a risk assessment. Okay, I have a good processing, agreement with our third party, and we also have some penalty clauses. I am reasonably okay. Oh, I have working with some freelancers, but then they use Gmail, they may use their own laptop, and then we share the data through Gmail. God knows where it goes, no idea. And if they're left, maybe they will take all the data, go to somebody else. Like employee also said, how do we do? That's a risk. So it's all around mitigating the risk. But if you don't know what risk you are sitting with, we think everything is going fine. One fine day we will have surprises. So we need to make sure this particular exercise is quite important. It's a facilitated workshop, put people into a room, talk to them, hey, tell me what you do. Oh, I am going to an office, there is a receptionist, she is asking my telephone number, my Emirates ID or national ID number. Somebody can come and take a picture of that, and tomorrow I am getting do you want a loan? Do you want a car? Where do you get my number? Yeah, we have sources. What sources? Is my data is floating around in the air? No. People sometimes sell it, people sometimes steal it, am I right? So is it your organization? I visited XYZ organization. How is my data received by a salesman, somebody from a credit card section? So we have to do the risk assessment. And then definitely of course, by the way, this is not exactly sequence. You can do a risk assessment, ROPA, then based on you can do the control, then implement the control. Any control implementation, start with the training. The people who doesn't know, they doesn't know, simple as that. Some of the people say, yeah, they are professional on their area, they are not professional on PDPL. They are not professional on technology. An HR guy knows how to do the HR work, but now you are asking them to do a privacy impact assessment, asking them to do no, I'm not. Maybe you are working there for 23 years, still I don't know PDPL, for me it's a new. So conducting training, making sure people understand the importance of this. Any new employee joined to the organization, we must make sure that that employee go through a proper induction program. Yeah, so all those things, Then communicate to your stakeholder, maybe your third parties, maybe your vendors, maybe you have some other subsidiary. Guys, we are running a privacy program, please make sure you adhere to the requirement. Of course, you can go back to third party control assessment or maybe some service organization compliance report, so many parameters we can ensure our processes are adhering to the requirement, etc. Then definitely ongoingly the notification to the ministry, breach notification, incident reporting, that's become part of our operational activity, and continually improve the management system. There is nothing like perfect at first time. Because this is like aim and shoot, because maybe you created a privacy statement and then ongoingly you found there are some gaps. Let's optimize it. First of all, it is not a one-time job. Second thing, it is not a responsibility of IT only, responsibility of legal only. It's everybody's responsibility. So we need to bring that culture across the organization. Now coming to auditors and assurance providers like you, your whole audit program will extend to a different landscape now. Does the organization have? Whether the privacy is embedded into the organization. Because end of the day, we are assurance team, we need to make sure the business is on safe hands, am I right? So all this has to be checked part of your audit program. So your sampling will be a little bit stringent. Okay, if employees are trained, okay, let's go around to see how many employees are aware about this one. So little bit extension to our scope will come. So that's the normal, our consulting project. We always do the similar one. I want to give one screen to all those things. These are a few little bit in depth about the 2 slides talking about processing data. Okay, I am collecting a data from my one of the. Yeah, please go ahead.
Many of our members are finance managers, CFOs.
Okay.
So the general understanding of some of them could be, no, I am not in audit, so I am in finance, so PDPL is not applicable.
Okay.
Whatever is there. So from finance perspective, they need to, if you can.
I have the slide, but I can give you advance. See, any functional unit in the organization, there are 3 important things that functional unit head has to do. Same like accountant or finance department, HR department. One is know your all business processes. Does the business process process any personal data? That's the first question. Account payable, account receivable, vendor onboarding, whatever. Yeah, appointing an external auditor. Yeah, for financial auditing, I'm going to appoint an external auditor. So now this external auditor is going to touch my systems and looking, they will have an access to personal data. So you look at your business process, am I processing any personal data? Second thing is your risk assessment, as I mentioned, privacy risk assessment. Now you may say, hey, my IT department is managing my financial system. But how do you make sure the IT system has all the control required? You cannot say IT is doing that. It's your data. Finance manager owns the finance data. Am I right? So you need to talk to IT. Hey, how are you doing that? I was talking to one of the business and say, okay, my system is SAP. I have all the segregation of duty and everything. Okay. Do you download something to Excel file? Yeah. What happened? You have a full secure ERP system and you download an Excel file, it's a flat file. Anybody can access that and use it anywhere. Am I right? Very simple. You spend millions to protect your SAP system, but then you download the PNL, you download the asset details, you download whatever. It is a flat file lying on your laptop. Do you protect that? Oh, okay, I have password, but somebody hack into? They can see everything. So very fundamentally, can you put a password into that Excel file? That's a basic, very, very fundamental we are talking about. So if you ask these questions to finance guy, oh, that's a different one, am I right? So back to the question, any functional unit, you know your data, you own the data. Don't point to IT, it's their responsibility. IT is a custodian of the system, IT is a facilitator, IT doesn't own the data. IT department is not the owner of the data, you are the owner of the data. So it's your responsibility, what data need to be protected, what type of access to be given. So going back to the few things, one is your process activity, second is your risk assessment, third one is your access control right. Who can access what? Ask IT people to provide, they will give to anybody and everybody. If you ask, please give access, okay, I will give access. You should think twice, why I am giving access to this person? Exactly. So you are the owner of segregation of duty and access control perspective. The facilitation will be done by IT. Same thing for another thing I will touch upon is the change management. Our systems are changing. When you do the changes in the system, that's the most of the time the data breach or the security vulnerability come because of hurry you don't really do the work correctly. So one of the internal control most of auditors look is the IT change system, change management. Am I right? That's another important thing. So just make sure these things are working. Okay, I have the slide, but I'm just, since you asked about. So this is a few principles of data processing. That means this is there in almost every PDPL and GDPR, etc. Fairness and transparent. You have to clearly mention this is the process, this is the purpose of the data, this is what we are doing. So that means the initial thing what I discussed. Purpose limitation, you collect the data only for that purpose, use only for that. If you collect the data for recruitment, finish it off then and there. Okay? Data minimization, collect what is really required. I'll give you some of the example from our side, like we are a training institute also. So previously, any certification exam we are conducting, we used to take the copy of the national ID because it's a evidence that a real candidate, right? But after GDPR come, I don't need your immediate because it's become a headache to me. So I will just verify you are a valid person, I just put a tick mark. That means I verify the ID. Previously we used to take a copy or scan and now it's become my responsibility to protect that national ID. So you ask the question, whatever you are collecting from customer for some purpose, do we really need this all information? People are very happy to collect, give me your name and email and date of birth and ABCD, nationality, everything. But do we really need it? So that's called data minimization. Storage, again, where you are storing, store only for the required purpose. If my purpose is to recruit a security officer, I collected 10 CV, I recruited my security officer, and then we can immediately scrap it. Otherwise, it becomes a headache. Am I right? Yeah, you see, like look at how many data in your laptop, how many data in your phone. Maybe it is lying from last 20 years. We don't even open that file, but still it is a huge. And one fine day somebody, oh, I lost my data. Okay. Why did you keep it for?
Is there any process of scrapping? Like,
say again?
Is there any process of scrapping once my purpose is over? So we can
archive it or delete, we can delete it. But by saying that, If there are some law, for example, account related things has to be kept for 10 years, maybe audit report has to be kept for 5 years, am I right? So if there is some retention required because of the law or something, then we can maintain it. But otherwise, just remove it, get rid of. Yeah. Of course, maintaining the confidentiality, integrity, and also the ownership. We need to know what type of, we are responsible. Yeah, I outsource to. Outsourcing means you are actually giving your responsibility to somebody. You are accountable. This is always I listen from, yeah, we have a third party, or we have IT department. No, they are actually responsible for doing the job, but you are the accountable person. You cannot transfer your accountability to somebody else. Something like I have a maid at my home and she is not cleaning my home. Yeah, it's because of my maid. Come on, it's your home, man. Am I right? So outsourcing, you cannot just take it like that. So we have to be accountable for our work. So that's the fundamental principle. So yes, please.
So when you say outsourcing, when we are having in clouds, so it is outside Oman. So you said we have to have a protection. So the same service is done by a outsourcing.
Correct.
Process outsourcing
Yep.
is happening in another place and with another third party. So do we have to have a agreement, a protection with both? Like for the cloud service as well as also.
Oh, that's an interesting one. So you are saying we outsource to one party and they outsource to somebody else. Am I right?
No, not like that. I have taken a SAP
Cloud, it's a SAP system.
So that is on the cloud.
Correct.
My data is outside Oman. It may be in Dubai or Singapore. So, but I have given a outsource to a third party working from India. So they get the access to the SAP because they are working for us. So now the contract protection should be with
Both.
Both.
Yeah. Because I subscribe the cloud and I use another resource to work from others. So basically both are your process. Am I right? So we have to, the possibility of risk is where. Maybe it can be from their side or it can be from the cloud side. So we have to have both. Okay, so this is basically the data subject, like what are my rights or what are the individuals' rights? They have to talk so many things, I don't take much time. They can withdraw. That means we have some unsubscribe option or opt-out option, such type of thing. Okay. Right to be informed, that means they need to be notified why we are collecting data, etc. Right to access, they will say, okay, show me my data, where it is processing. Of course, you don't need to access to your SAP system, but at least to show this is your data inside us, this is the information. That means, are you manipulating their data or not? Such type of thing. Correction, if they say, guys, thank you very much, I don't want you to process data anymore. Now, this is one of the toughest part. Because like example, if you are working with a client for a few years and maybe our IT people might have backed up the data, put it on a tape or put it on somewhere, and suddenly they say, please erase my data from you. It's a tough job, right? So we have to really look at how, so there are a little bit complication. Then as I mentioned, if the data is retained for a certain purpose, then we can say, sorry, I can reject, but this is the reason we are keeping that. Restricting and blocking. Data portability, that means, okay, mostly like, financial institutions or health institution, okay, please transfer my data from this insurance company to that insurance company. So we should provide that data in a proper readable format to these people and so that they can import. So that is the sharing of data type of thing, yeah. So there are few rights we need to understand, and then this is all part of the, so what is we need to care about? We need to care about when any data subject asks for any of this activity, do we have a mechanism to perform? Show me the data where it is. Yeah, your data is in this cloud, as you mentioned, it is on this country. Okay, this is managed by. So we don't need to give confidential information to them, but at least a high level information we need to give to them. Okay, this is, I think we already touched upon, but I just summarized the stakeholders. I want to tell that everybody in the organization is responsible. Maybe as a one line, I can tell that. Yeah. What is the role of board and executive management? Making sure your privacy programs are really effective by initiated and implemented. Yeah, of course, most probably a legal requirement come to the legal department and they will convert into a plain language, assigned to HR and finance or HR and IT, but it's a board is accountable for that particular privacy is done. Department heads definitely allocate some champions or resources, identify the processes, perform risk assessment, like you cannot say, yeah, that's IT is doing something, I don't know. No, it's your process, Human resources, definitely part of your training program, induction program, conduct some training regularly to the people, etc. IT, most of the technical control come to IT, come to your technical infrastructure, network, security. Audit and risk and compliance, our community, extend into your control audit checklist, add your more control checklist into your audit program, internal control verification, whether risk assessment is complete comprehensively, whether the privacy impact is done comprehensively, this all become some of your, then all staff, all employees has to follow the guideline. See, we always say the weakest link in the organization is somebody who not trained or who is not aware about this program. I can tell someone, can you please share this detail? Yeah, somebody asked me to share, boom, they shared the data. That could be a one single incident leading to a whole program goes into a toss. So please make sure everybody participated. I think this was a slide we talked about what is the role of accountants and auditors. I think as I mentioned, it's not explicitly accountant, but since it is the audience is like that, I just use this slide, this section. Please support your PDPL program by, you understand what type of data you are handling. Make sure the accounting systems are secure. It's my data lying on IT people's system. How do they handle? Do they have proper control? What about the privacy access management perspective? Who is the super user? Who have the access? Oh, IT is outsourced to somebody else. Yeah, we save a lot of cost. Now means your data can be seen by somebody else. Because today cost is the only parameter in many cases, but we are missing that risk factor. Yeah, definitely risk assessment, data inventory. As I mentioned with vendors and auditors, please put that data processing agreements perspective, and then definitely encourage a privacy culture, like people conducting training. Make sure your team members are participating in the training and etc. Auditors, I think I said enough. Extend your audit scope. Make sure the people are doing that ROPA. This could be one quick thing. Okay, guys, you did a privacy program. Show me your record of processing activity. I'm auditing HR department. Show me your process list. What is privacy impact? So we are just going beyond that simple control guidelines or financial reporting perspective. We go a little bit extended, because end of the day, your assurance report will go to the board of directors or audit committee to make sure, we are in safe hands, such type of thing. Okay. This is just like a summary, what is going on in the industry or what are the challenges we face. I think we discussed PDPL itself. The compliance requirements are becoming very tight and complex and expensive, honestly speak. You need to understand that that's the second one. First of all, third-party risk. Today we don't know where it is going and how it is. So basically the vendor selection, due diligence, third-party risk assessment is part of the important thing. Definitely, this auditing vendors is normally done by government organization or the banks, etc. Third-party assessment, type of thing. Data visibility, as I mentioned, this is one of the challenge in many of our projects. If you go to, we know our business, we are doing it, but tell me which process handle that. Oh, how does the thing? Yeah, we have a website. Website will query to come. Then where it goes? Yeah, it goes to our ERP. Okay, is it go directly or it through? Oh, it will pass through email. Now we can see. This is a simple question. Where does the data come from? It's come from website. Where it goes? It goes to email system. Okay, then where it goes? It goes to the ERP. Now, what is the possibility of data breach in between? Email is hosted in cloud. Oh, okay, maybe. Oh, email is managed by a third party. You see that? So as soon as you put these touch points everywhere, you will identify the potential risk. And this is a time-consuming effort. Sometimes people say, oh, come on, why are we doing all those things? But that's the only way we can identify. Yeah. Then definitely secure infrastructure is one of the challenges. Like as I mentioned, small organization may not be able to implement all these expensive controls. Awareness of the laws and definitely implementation. Some of things you can also start doing some best practices, like don't reinvent the wheel. There are some ISO standard, NIST standard. There are some industry standard available. Easy to start rather than working. This is a very common issue I found on in many organizations. Oh, we have PDPL. Set of people sitting in the corner, start creating PDPL policy, process, procedure, or download a template. Now, okay, we have another compliance program happening on the other side of the thing, and it doesn't really handshake together. There is no integration. So one of the things I always recommend as an auditors or head of team, look at an integrated governance, risk and compliance, because it's all about risk management. Whether it is a cyber security, whether it is a third-party risk, whether it is a PDPL risk, it's all about risk management. So why we should have so many risk management in silos? Yeah. So think what you have. That's why going back to the gap assessment. when you go back to the gap assessment, we know what we have and how can we retrofit into the existing one. Yeah. So think about build an integrated program. Create a privacy committee with the members of our, what you call head of department, HR manager, IT manager. So that committee become an accountable for the success of this particular program. Steering committee, executive committee, whatever committee you want to call it, just call it. But make sure the participation is from multiple team members. Okay, so I think that was the high level thing. I have just put a two scenario, like if a bank using a KYC creation compliance, how does it work? I think it's very, by this time you know, controller is the bank, processor is the third party. What are the data they are using? They are also using biometrics. So you can see a bank using a KYC collection from a third party. You can see the roles that bank play and the processor play. What do they need to do? Minimum level. They have to have a recording processing activity, impact assessment, data processing, agreement with the third party, explicit consent, data processing, storage and data transfer, and training. So it's a very simple, just to say, we may look like, yeah, I have a contract with them. No, that doesn't end there. There are a few additional steps we need to talk about. Yeah, last one, chartered accountancy firm. I'm just giving like some of the consultants like us, we give advisory, we give them the tax and we give the accounting perspective. The firm is the, controller. We are the processor also, because most probably we are doing that one. But then we collect the details from other entity on that, am I right? Now I'm looking on the firm, CA firm perspective. But if the customer perspective, CA firm is the processor, customer is the, such type of thing. And sensitive data, if you are using insurance related thing, you can see so many things we need to do. So even we are a small entity or large entity or MNC, the recording of processing activity, privacy impact assessment, data breach notification, these all are very, very important. Yeah. So I think that's what I plan to do, maybe a little bit fast. Hope. So it's not about compliance. I think the Oman is saying that it's all about building your customer trust, confidence, and there is a resilience and some sort of digital transformation and digital country as an Oman. So that's about the quick PDPL. I hope you had some meaningful information shared to you. If you have any questions, I'm okay to take. Mudit is here. Sorry? Oh, that was the Ministry of Transportation, and there is a slide I mentioned. Maybe I'll just go back to. That's a good question. Sorry, I didn't mention too much on that, but yeah, MPCA. Sorry for that. I can't just. Yeah, this is the Sultanate of Ministry of Transport, Communication, and IT. Yeah, that's a ministry. So they call it as the competent ministry. They have so many things.
You have managed to scare most of the people in the room.
Really? The idea was not to scare. Idea was to see whether we accept or not accept. The reality is in front of us. So as an advisor, as an accountant, as a team, what we know, we help our clients, and that's it. Like I was doing, I'll just take 1 minute. I was doing a discussion with one of the CEO on the business continuity disaster recovery. I told, yeah, you don't have a BCM. Sreechith, we are running a business for 20 years, nothing happens to me. Okay, you are running a Mercedes-Benz for $100,000, $120,000. It has an insurance, but you don't want an insurance for your company 20 million, 30 million. Thank you very much. Let's have a coffee and thank you very much. What's my role in your business? As an advisor, I told you are missing on this particular risk management. As a CEO, if you are not interested, what is my interest on that? So as an advisor, as a senior people, if you are internal or external, it's our responsibility to communicate that to the executives or board of directors or your clients. If the clients say, I don't care, thank you very much, enough is enough. Because it's your business. If you are not serious, then what is my serious on that? So that's what my point. So I hope you got some information. Anything, please feel free. I have my Mudit, who is the head of delivery. He is the actual one who do all these projects. And he is also a compliance auditor. I think he has done more than 300 plus ISO compliance auditor. So if you have anything on that detail, please catch him. I am also available here too. Any questions, please?
Any questions?
As a data processor,
yeah,
we collect many personal data. For example, we do a lot of, as a travel industry, we do a lot of visa processing and everything. So what happens in a case, there will be only one-time customer. He
Yeah.
starts the data on the WhatsApp and removes. Now in this case, we need to go get the consent from him.
No, okay. You are the processor, you are the controller.
And the processor. I upload the data in the ministry website to get the visas.
Okay.
So what happens here?
But you are collecting that. It's okay. I need a visa. I come to you.
Yeah.
I gave my passport and what do you call?
All the personal details
You are the controller. For me, I know only you.
Okay.
Okay. You use. Correct me if I'm wrong. So when you use that, okay. I know XYZ company is a travel agency or whatever visa processing. I gave you. Now you upload to the ministry because it's a ministerial requirement. Okay. So now this is the question you want to come. Now I need to make sure you are protecting my data. So I will say, okay, your good name? Bharani. So Bharani, I gave my passport and national ID. Tell me, how are you processing the data? So it's your responsibility to prove me this is the process we follow. So you are not processor only, you are actually the controller. Is that Musafir? We done the same work, am I right? Yeah, we have done a work with Musafir, actually the whole travel agency, the whole. That's why he's the right person to answer. But this is my answer.
In the case of consent, how do you get a consent from the, like you mentioned, no, you have to get the.
That's a good point. So maybe you have a form or you have a web form, am I right? In the below the web form, you write that, okay, if you are submitting for a visa, this information will be used for so and so purpose. And then we will be retaining this information in, I don't know, WhatsApp or even WhatsApp, if people started using the consent. Like if you send something to WhatsApp, especially business account, okay, your data will be used for so and so, please click on this link. So it's our responsibility to show the customer that we are processing your data in a fair manner and we have a transparent process. That's it. Okay, now you upload to the ministry and now you go back and say, hey ministry, do you have internal control mechanism? That's a little bit of risky question, but then that's all. But for me, I know only you. Is that, yeah? Travel agency is a little tough because we had a lot of journey because many times ticket booking, maybe you have IATA directly, sometimes you go with another travel agency because of the deals. Oh, it's a very complicated. We had a very tough time on that.
And they came in from hospital sector here, healthcare sector, because they will also have sensitive data handling.
They have very unique model also because the hospitals will collect the sensitive data, they'll pass it on to the TPA.
Yeah.
TPA seat will go to the insurance company, it will go to the reinsurers outside Oman.
And
A lot of data transfer is there.
And also, I don't know how the data sharing requirements are because nowadays, especially in UAE, the healthcare provider need to share the data between other providers. So it's become very, very complicated. But that's, yeah.
So basically forward as well as backward integration is required, right, for data protection?
Yeah.
Right.
Both sides. So see that your consumer as your protecting party. We need to protect their data, whether you're taking this direction or this direction. But as you mentioned, insurance company, it's a very interesting point, I'm right. I got an insurance with one authority and next year maybe they will approach me directly. Maybe I come through one broker, maybe another broker. It's a very challenging one. But we need to know some of the risks we cannot mitigate, but we know this is the risk. So at least your risk register should be updated with all those type of things. This is a potential risk, and sometimes we say we accept the risk or we transfer. Like the whole risk management guideline come into picture. But if you don't know, that is a more danger.
So basically, data subject not being aware of this law can escape easily.
But some intelligent data subject come with an answer. We cannot say. We cannot think everybody is But there will be a lot of awareness going on. People will be. Let's not wait for. This is what I will say. See, if you want to make your governance and risk and compliance good, don't wait for somebody else to ask you. You do it because at the end of the day, your differentiation. Am I right? Sometime we may survive as long as we survive, but I don't think that will take you to the next level. Yeah.
Considering the cyber frauds and the data security importance, this is just a beginning and it's going to get more and more stringent.
Yeah, I think one of the CEO was saying IT is really enabler, but the management of IT becoming very expensive due to many reasons, but there is no choice. Now the whole hype is about artificial intelligence, blockchain, big data. Only God knows how it is going to react because now many of the AI providers are in infancy. They are like using you as a guinea pig to test their skills and everything. Because it's again going back to the data, right? The artificial intelligence, machine learning is machine is learning from the data and making the decision. and if the data is crap, or the data is manipulated, or the learning data was not genuine, the decision making will be on a different. If it is a human, if it is making a decision wrong, we have a little bit time to rethink and correct it. If the machine started making wrong decision, it will keep on making the decision, and you cannot relearn the machine as we go. So people like auditors and consultants become very difficult to, how do we analyze the logic, how do we make sure? So back to the question, the digital transformation, cloud transformation is all nice terminology, but coming to the risk factor, it's we all do experience and gain that one. Yeah.
Any idea whether this cyber risk insurance policies cover this exposure to PDPL liability also?
Basically, I don't have any real example, but couple of insurance companies in UAE, like some of our clients, they have taken this cyber insurance. But honestly, whether the data breach and now whether the breach is happening from a targeted attack or something internal, it's a very difficult. Honestly, I don't have any real statistic, but people started using the cyber risk as a cyber insurance, it's a risk insurance actually. Couple of companies has been started working on that.
Also, whether the any idea on whether the professional indemnity insurance we take, whether that also covers?
Yeah, professional indemnity is, as an advisor, we all need to head that because our advice is wrong. Like example, as an auditing company, I give an audit report and that audit report is wrong, they can come back. I think nowadays, all outsourced parties, including us, they started asking us professional indemnity insurance as well as some employees, blah, blah, blah. Other than the health insurance, there are 2-3 things they ask with I don't know what exactly they are asking. But it is become a must in the most of our government contracts. But that doesn't cover because that's our service oriented. Right? If I go to a organization and need a GRC assessment, and if I give your maturity is 4.5, and next day morning if they have a cyber risk. But as an auditor, we have a little bit benefit, right? Based on the data, as on the time moment, we are giving you the assurance. Because tomorrow morning, what happened, honestly, I don't know. No, I cannot do that because then I have to sit with you for the 24/7 looking at every transaction, which you don't have. You gave me 2 days for auditing for a 20,000 transaction. Where do I do it? So, but this is why I'm telling, don't point the fingers to auditors or compliance people. This is your business. So I was talking to some of the people, the 3 lines of defense has to come in the organization. The process party has to look at their first line of control and defense, and coming to risk and compliance team to the second line, then auditors come as a 3rd line of defense. So if everybody work on the same ecosystem, I think it will be better over a period of time. So awareness training, I think that's what we need to do it. Yeah.
Just to clarify to everybody, correct me if I am wrong, because most of the companies would be handling the personal information of the employees, their spouses and the kids. So nobody is immune to the, they cannot afford to ignore the law, because everybody some way or the other is involved and need to understand your own responsibilities and your organization's responsibilities.
One of the things we were discussing very recently is like most of the organizations today use biometric device for their attendance. Am I right? So you have fingerprint or facial recognition. So now that's a question. Now I am using my employees' biometric, but now as per the law, anything you are handling is a sensitive. Now I think honestly I don't have a clear answer, but for me, by looking at the verb and the details in there, yeah, you are using a biometric device, it's sensitive information. So now because of law, can I get rid of this attendance system? It is also not possible. So it's better to get little bit detail into check with ministry or maybe DPO, because we haven't really faced, but during the conversation we come to know this is one of the major challenges. I think 90% of organization today with all either fingerprint or like facial recognition.
Apple is taking our biometrics.
Yeah, that's another good.
Our own emails are stored in Microsoft and also that is also breached.
So if there is a data breach,
Yeah.
in that case, just the notification will work, or because there will be penalties?
Yes.
And then will there be a scenario that the parties who are affected, the customers, can they claim some compensation?
Yeah, that will go. Okay, there are 2 aspects. One, there is a data breach happen. First thing is we need to know whether data breach happen or not. The problem with cybersecurity is even before getting to know, maybe the damage has already happened. But as soon as if you come to know, your obligation first is notifying the ministry within 72 hours. Then you go to the whole postmortem, root cause analysis, what went wrong and etc. Then back to the data damage. Maybe if you are working with some, like example, a bank and there are a lot of card details are gone, then that damage to be corrected by notifying the customer. Then as you mentioned, if they come with a some sort of a legal thing, then that's a different discussion. But what ministry is saying, if your notification is not done, you get a penalty. Maybe they will also initiate a of investigation of what went wrong, and based on that they will, these guys are not done the data processing requirement, then whatever they impose. So we will get a hit from both sides. That's what we are trying to think about.
The law is not yet implemented, right? They have given 1 year.
Okay, no, that is from February 2024. So that means we are.
Online article it is saying that it has been extended till 5th of February 2026.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay, then thanks. We have 1 more year to So don't wait for the last minute. Start the journey. You still have a, which is in the website already, or it's a something, because we saw.
Article from some consultants.
Yeah, that's what
So
that's the only place we have seen. There was no official communication. There was nothing from other than that particular consulting company. If it is genuine, thank you. Thanks for their support. If not, but what I'm saying is, don't wait for the last minute. Start the journey. If you have 1 more year, very interesting, right? We have some relaxed way of working.
We have more assignment.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying I think some of the things you can start, so that slow pace we can complete. But the ROPA is very difficult for many organizations because
Overnight compliance.
Exactly.
For the ministries also, this is applicable, like the ministries handle so much of.
All the government organizations might have done.
What about the individuals? If an individual is holding the individual information of somebody else?
Okay, now there is an exception called if you are processing the data for your personal or family purpose, it's okay. But if you are into business or if you are into an entity, then you have to. Whether I am a one-man show in for my company, but I am collecting the details of you. End of the day, I am a company or an entrepreneur. You have to do it.
So it's only applicable to company to individuals. If an individual is sharing individual information, that is okay.
Yeah, but that's again, that individual is what? Individual for a family purpose or something. No, that's what the only thing they mention. Okay. But I am an entrepreneur or freelancer, I am going and working with an auditing or a taxation guy, but end of the day you are making money out of that.
There are 2 employees who are working in the same company, 2 individuals. And one individual is holding the personal information of the other individual and he shares publicly.
Yeah, but that's a good point. So as soon as the information is publicly available, you are not obliged to do that. Like example, your LinkedIn, you have your name and everything. Okay, it's not.
The personal information which is not publicly available, but the other person share it in the open space.
I send my passport to you and you send my passport. Yeah, but I don't think that's because unless and until I go and file a suit against you, I don't think.
Or his law is outside.
Yeah?
Handle him separately.
It's a special case, you take him to a special case.
Beyond the regulations.
I don't know. Yeah, there may be some challenges, but then, yeah. Any other questions? I think I managed the time, hopefully.
Just be on the stage. I think this is a very complicated topic, but you simplified in such a nice language, and thank you for customizing this presentation for CA chapter. May I now request past chair CA Jim to be on the stage to felicitate our speaker. Also MC on the stage, please.
Hi, Sreechith. Yeah, okay. Yep. All the board of people. Thank you so much.
Group photo, please come.
Good evening, all of you. It's my pleasure and honor to extend a vote of thanks on behalf of ICAI Oman chapter. Indeed, it's our privilege to have Sreechith Radhakrishnan
Thank you.
for delivering a session which every one of us was waiting since long time. And fortunately, as Abhishek ji said, the implementation period is extended for a year, so we also clearly will get time to go through the roadmap you have shown in today's session. It was very insightful, and with your knowledge and expertise, you have taken through us in detail what to be done, what are the areas to be looked into. It's amazing. I'm sure if with your permission, our program chairperson will circulate these slides to all members for their benefit. There are many who have registered, could not make it. Otherwise, this hall would not have been sufficient enough to cater the crowd for this topic, in fact. Okay, so I'm sure you will take the permission from Sreechith ji for circulating. I have seen many members who are clicking the important slides, so I'm sure they will feel very happy to that. And thank you members for being here. And we have series of programs going ahead. I'm sure Vice Chairperson would have already highlighted the forthcoming programs. Please do attend it. Good night and have a safe drive back to home. Thank you.
Thank you.